Okay, cool. So let's start the call today. We're going to spend today's time, majority of our time, to go through some of the tickets that we plan to work on for next week. Before we start that, is there any questions or topics you guys would like to discuss on your current work?
Uh, can we also include mUzima 97 and 77?
Yes. How about we go through those two first, since you are working on, is it 97?
Yeah, it's 97 and 77. First one, we can start with 97.
Can you guys see the screen?
Yes.
Okay, so 97 is create form safe handler. What's the question?
Actually, I started looking into for fixing this issue. The main question I have is if someone can explain the architecture of the module and how it is interacting with the Android phone, with the OpenMRS, and if any special configuration is required as far as debugging is concerned.
Okay, this one probably would require a little bit more efforts from the OpenMRS side. So would that be okay? We put this one on hold first, so that it would give you more time to work on other tickets so that you can get more familiar with the OpenMRS side.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to make this on hold first. 1 second.
Okay.
So, okay. I'm going to become okay. And the other one is 90. What's the ticket number?
77.
77.
Yeah.
Okay. Huge payload will potentially crash the app.
Yes. For this, I started implementing and it's almost done. The part is pending, which is testing. Actually, I have seen the test case which we have written in order to test the uploading the form. If it has the images, it doesn't have any data actually. We are simply creating one form object and empty JSON value which we are passing. Uh, so I think we need to improve that test. So the question really is, in order to improve the test, what should be the proper way? One way is I can upload this repository in my local one, and I can test this.
Uh-huh. When?
Uh, Actually, for this, it's more all changing that code rather than creating the JSON object. We are using a JSON writer. That implementation I have done, but testing wise. We have the test case in order to test this function which is return sync form data.
Is it
So
possible to create an optional task where, because to test this one, I think you need to try to upload like a big data, relatively big. So I don't know how.
Can we use the all cohort? It has like 500 patients. Is that considered big?
No, it's not related to the cohort data. It's more related to the size of the form data you're uploading. When you're uploading data including images and video, it's gonna make the data big. But
How about attaching a few videos files that which are in big size?
yeah,
Uh, can I share my screen and I will show you the piece of the code which I
Sure.
have written?
Feel free to share.
Oh, if someone can help me how to share my screen, so I'm
On the left side, when you scroll to the left, the third icon is it's kind of like monitor with the arrow. That one is the screen share.
oh, is it in the left hand side?
Yeah, left hand side.
No, no. Yeah, got it.
Okay, cool.
Okay, this is Android one. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so for the implementation wise, uh, this is the place which uh, this is the earlier implementation where we are creating the JSON object and putting the values on JSON object, and the finally we are writing on in connection by using the buffer writer. So in place of that, I have used the JSON writer, which is suggested by Win. And when I'm for in order to test this changes, I found there is already test is written, which is the form service test. This is the test which will get executed. But here I can see we are not actually assigning any data to the form and JSON object. It's a simple plain empty object. We are sending it to the server.
Yeah, I think before the test case is just testing we can sync data. Um, we never think about having to send this uh, the size of the form data itself.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think that's why uh, the object doesn't have any kind of data. I think I would rather have a separate task for the bigger data. It should be similar. It's just the one with data will have basically bigger payload, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, when I'm running this test, it's working fine. It's passing. So what I will do is I will include the data in form object and try to upload it. That's what you mean? Means the main question is how we are going to test it as far as testing is unit testing is concerned for this function.
Hmm. Yeah, it's gonna be tricky because different Android will have
Yep.
different limit. Um, how do we do this?
Can we consider the low-end Android devices that I'm perhaps using as the limit?
Yeah, it's gonna be. Is there a way to figure out um, the maximum size of memory assigned to an apps in Android?
Oh, I'm not sure actually.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, this is gonna be different. But I think if we can this one is in mUzima API, not in the Android. Is it possible to have a similar testing? It's difficult. How do we do this? Hmm. It's pretty tricky to test it out unit test wise, I think, because
Okay.
uh,
So what we can do is we can actually deploy this on my Git repository in branch, and I will include in my Android application, and I will try to test this with different uh, size of image file.
yeah, I think that's gonna be one way to go. I think if you can, um, so we're sending a base64 encoded image. So if you can get like a uh, big enough size image and
Yeah.
then attach it multiple times, like maybe 2 MB of image, and then um, put like 5 or 6 times in the form data, and then
Okay.
try to upload it. If
Yep.
it's working, then I think it should be fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep. I have a few question. Uh, the first one is actually today only me and Shweta, we are doing some kind of testing and found that once the form is completed, it will we can see that the form inside the tab data.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm tabbing on that completed form, mUzima is crashing. It's giving some error message actually. So actually, we couldn't figure out because at the while leaving the office, we did this test. So just I wanted to inform you guys. And second, I have suppose I have uploaded my form. I filled the form. The completed form I am trying to upload to the server. So there is any way where I can see the uploaded form in OpenMRS?
Um, yes, it should go into the queue list in the server.
Okay.
Let me send you. So if you go to the administration section and um,
Okay.
then go to this one, that one will list out all submitted from form data from the device.
Uh, which section you are telling? It's in a view queue data.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Got it. Thank you. That's it from my side. I wanted to just ask this question.
Cool. Um, anyone had other tickets or questions you guys want to discuss before we start going through the new tickets? Sounds like a no. So let's go through the new tickets. The first one is mUzima 51. Missing observation summary on client summary page. What happened is that the client actually has observations under the when you tap through the observation tab. However, on the client summary page, it did not show the summary of the summary counts of how many observations actually this client has. So this ticket pretty much is just to get the count of the observation and then display on the observation box on the client summary page. Any questions for this one?
No, that was pretty clear.
Awesome. Cool. The next one is 127. App preference of creator and the setting. So what we would like is that for this mobile application, most of the time the person who log into the device are actually the provider who see the patients. So we want to add some kind of a setting options under the settings that the provider can say that, hey, when I log into this device, I want myself to be automatically logged as the encounter provider when I fill the form. And then if this option is not chosen, and then it will require the provider to input his or her information as the encounter provider. So this is this preference setting is related to the mUzima forms. When this preference is set, that this the user who log into the device would be the defaulted encounter provider on the mUzima form template. Is this one clear, or it needs to be further discussed?
I have a question here.
Uh-huh.
Let's say that I'm a provider and I'm filling out the histopathology form or something. So you're talking about the input element which says provider ID and then the provider's name. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So my question here is, does this have to be a setting, or should we just take it as default? Like how in the ticket you're saying, however, there may be a small number of cases which are an exemption. I mean, typically, how many cases do you see? Is this going to happen very rarely, or does it happen quite often?
It's hard to estimate right now. The reason is that we have sometimes in certain projects they have limited number of devices. For that kind of cases, the devices are likely to be shared by more than one user. So we want to make sure that the default. So I think the discussion is that if the same device, and then if the setting preference here the preference is set to be device specific or user specific. I think that's the first question.
So I was thinking. I may be wrong here, but what I was thinking is, sometimes when I see, let's say that I go to the client summary page and I want to fill out the recommended form for that client. So when the form opens up, it basically comes up with the patient data already filled in, like the AMRS ID and the name and the date of birth and those kind of things which don't change for a patient, right?
Correct.
So they are not editable. But the provider ID is something that you have to key in. So would it make sense, instead of making it a setting, to now this totally depends on how many cases you're seeing where a person would need to keep changing it. If you see it very often, then it doesn't make sense. But if it happens very rarely, would it make sense to also populate this field but make it editable? So let's say I'm trying to fill out a form on Vikas's device. Vikas has logged in, and I take Vikas's phone and I'm trying to fill out a histopathology form, it will show up. The provider name will show up as Vikas, and his ID would be there. But because I'm Shweta, I will go and edit that. But this only makes sense if, out of 100 times that I use the phone, maybe I just borrow Vikas's phone very rarely. But if it's going to happen very often, then probably the settings thing is a better idea.
We try to. The reason we want to make it is like a preference under the setting is that if we don't include this as part of the training, the providers usually tend to forget about the default setting, and they tend to not to update on the entire provider information, even though the default provider is someone else. It's more like a habit. People tend to ignore, just like the patient demographic data be populated on the form template when people tend not to look at those information because they would immediately go to the very next one when they fill out the required information. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So basically, this setting would allow the user to always select a default or force the user to enter the provider ID.
I think that so that it's give like a option for the provider. For example, if this device is always be used by the same provider, we would recommend him or her like set the default provider as the person who log into the device. If the device is being shared by multiple providers, probably then we don't suggest that. Does it make sense? Or when someone log into it again, we need to have like a training session just to remind the provider saying that, hey, if you use the new device, please make sure to check. Step one is to check here just to ensure that you are the one who is as a defaulted provider. So that it just makes your work go much more smoother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. But I just have a very basic question.
Go ahead.
Isn't all this like kind of session based? Like if Vikas has logged in, would it make sense for someone else? Or wouldn't we be taking the user who has logged in as Vikas, who is the health provider? And why should
that's the question I brought up earlier. Is this specific to the session or is it specific to the device? When do you know?
I'm not really sure either.
Yeah, I think probably when working on these tickets, probably one part is just to figure out whether this settings preference actually is applied to users or applied to session or applied to device. Would that be before even like starting this ticket?
I think it's gonna be by device.
That's what I assume as well.
Yeah.
That's why I come up with this ticket. Yes. Mm-hmm. So maybe we can put a note that just for this ticket to make sure that, hey, first to figure out whether the settings is specific to device or to user of the session.
Okay, I think for this ticket, what I think should happen is when you create a form, you need to include the creator information. And if you check this reference, then by default the apps will populate the creator information for you. Otherwise, you need to populate the creator by yourself.
Yep.
Right?
Yes. That's how I think it should work. The only question I had was that should we make it a setting thing at all, or you know, do we make it a setting thing, or okay, for example, the server that the mUzima app connects to, right? The server URL. If I go to settings and I change it, it gives you this warning that pointing the URL to a different server is going to wipe out all data and things like that. And then it forces you to log in again, right? So that's session based, isn't it? Or is it based at the device level?
Um, it's a device thing, sweetheart.
Okay. Okay. Okay, so I was just wondering if we should do it at the settings at all, or should we just allow the user to enter it? But like Ada explained, that it probably could happen that someone doesn't really read through the default auto-populated kind of things because they just assume that it's filled in correctly and they probably don't check it. So this is probably a safer way to do it. That's clear for me.
Thank you, Shrita. I think it's good that you ask those questions so that we can think from different angles. So let's go to 154. So basically, this ticket is that we would like to add the last updated date information to those form data that listed under incomplete and complete form data pages. Right now, when you look at it, it's only include the form name and the description of the form. So he would like to add the last updated date information for each of the incomplete and complete form data forms. I mean, I list out all those pages from different pages because they show on 4 different pages. Is there any clarifications you guys need?
Do we need time? So my issue with the display is when you fill out multiple forms, you cannot really tell like which one is the latest one that I just fill in. Like when I tried to do 2 VIA form, now I ended up with 2 VIA draft.
So you want to include the timestamp as well?
Maybe. I think so, yeah. Because I want to know which one is the latest one that I did. I don't know if it's going to be beneficial or not. It's just difficult for me to tell, like, which one
How about that?
is the latest.
Is it like this?
Yeah.
Maybe you can explain to them why you would like this piece of information. It's just like easy for the user to know which one is the latest in case the same form has been filled.
Yeah, because we in the list itself we don't tell the user how the ordering is happening.
And also, would this help with sorting
Yeah.
on the complete form and complete form tab that from the most recent to the like design order or something like that?
Yeah.
Any comment or question? Cool. Yes. Okay. So next one, 157. Prompt message when draft form data is saved successfully. Currently, because this is really like in a user feedback from the testing, saying that once they tap on Save Draft, it will bring to another page, and then they want to get a confirmation message to pop say, hey, the draft form data is saved successfully, so that they feel confident that the draft form is saved. I think this one is pretty clear, right?
Yes, that's clear.
Okay, awesome. Cool. And then the next one is very similar. This is also need to prompt a message to confirm that the complete form data is saved successfully. Pretty much the same as 157. So let's look at 159. Multi-select not highlighting selection on incomplete form. Win, do you want to go for this one?
I think it's just bugging me that if you go to the draft in the forms, if you long press the incomplete or complete, in the incomplete you can delete it from the draft in the forms. So when you long press it, it doesn't highlight the selection, but it's showing that you select one. So the action bar is getting triggered, and then you can do deletion, and your incomplete form will get deleted, but it doesn't show the selection. So it's kind of difficult to tell which one you select already or not select.
Okay.
161. Downloading new form template should be similar to the wizard behavior. Win.
I think this is requested by Martin. When we download a new form template, it shouldn't accept all the concept inside the form template by default.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the behavior should be the same with how we do the wizard. So the step would be you do a multi-selection on the all template in the forms, and then if you press the download, it will transition you to the page, the wizard page in the concept, basically. So you parse the form and then display the list of concept. The workflow is going to be the same with the wizard. Like you can pick one or more concept and delete that. And then if you press next, it will download the observation and take you back to the form page. So I think one comment that I would make here, Ada, is making sure that the list of concept that gets displayed is the difference between the current concept in the device and the one that we get from parsing the form template. So for example, you already have 5 concepts in your device, and the new form template that you want to download will have 2 more concepts out of this 5.
So you just want to display the 2?
Yeah, so we just want to display 2.
Yeah, I completely agree with Win in that regard. But the whole point is you don't want to pass some forms at the beginning when you're installing and leave all the other forms to be able to download concepts. It just doesn't make any sense. Hi Vikas, never met you, but welcome to the team. Hi Shrita. Hi Manu.
Hi Martin.
Hi.
Hi, Martin. Sorry, I was in mute.
Yeah, and I could see. I'm just listening to listen.
Yes,
Yes,
it should
it should
transition
transition
to
to
wizard again.
wizard then.
Okay. Let's move on to 163. This ticket is more like a task to do some research on adding new version of form templates to the server. So when updating the form templates in the server, what actually happened? In the server, we want to know what happened. Is the old form template actually got replaced? If it's not replaced, how is it different when you upload the same form templates to the server? How can we differentiate them? We need to be able to make sure that, hey, if the same form templates upload to the server, it needs to have some kind of like a versioning to differentiate that which one is which. And I think also currently on the UI, on the mUzima form, it does not even include when the form template was updated. I think that piece of information might also need to be added. So this ticket is more like a research and suggestions, recommendations on how we can make things much more better. On the device, and also when a new form template is updated to the server, will the user, how can the user on the device side that to get notification saying that, hey, actually there's a new version already available. Do you want to update, get the latest one or not? And things like that. So this is more like a research task.
Cool.
Any questions or comments?
Oh, no,
I think for now, what happened is if you upload a new template, it will be uploaded as a different form template.
Yeah, last time I think like several dispensary forms got uploaded to the form server with the same name, and people confused which one is which. And I think probably this would be a good exercise just to confirm what actually happened and document it, and then whether it's the correct behavior or recommended behavior should be changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a really good question because there are lots of questions like this in my mind when I'm using the system. So I would really appreciate if this is documented somewhere so we can understand better how it's supposed to work.
Yeah. Cool. So next one, this is to add 122, add preference of real-time synchronization under setting. This is another addition to the settings. Right now, the current workflow is that we make the assumption that users would upload and sync the complete form data to the server as a batch. But some of the users actually have Wi-Fi or internet connections, and then we want to let the user to choose whether they want to do real-time synchronization or not.
I have a question here. I don't know if this is a concern, but I wouldn't really want to leave it to the device to actually submit something for me. Let's take the example of I'm using Gmail. I type out a mail. I'm pretty sure I want to send it out. So, but I always get the decision of hitting the send button. So for whatever reason, if the user doesn't feels like, I know that I know that there is a concept of incomplete and complete forms, but I think I read a ticket a while back where even after the form is completed, I can still go and edit it and save it as a save as. I think
Yeah.
Ada, you filed the Jira, right?
Yes. Save as
So
draft. Mhm.
yeah, so it still gives the person an option of editing or modifying the form, even though it is actually under the completed section. So by allowing the device to sync, just push out data whenever it finds internet connection, you're taking away the decision making from the user. Is that something that is safe to do? Is my question.
So currently on the mUzima forms, it has a bunch of validations and logic applied. So if any of those required fields or the logic the validation don't meet, the provider is not able to save the form as complete form data. So I think it already at like a level of checking over there. So I think the reason we want to have this option is that sometimes when the provider really want to get like a real feedback, especially I think it would be helpful for decision support, clinical decision support, when they need to have like a real-time feedback to take on certain actions. Wayne and Martin, do you have anything to add?
I personally don't have any take on this one, but I agree with Sweta. But I can see the problem without this one, because you potentially can have a provider don't sync their data for a very long time. But I agree with Sweta. So I don't have preference on this one, I think.
I think the reason we want to make it as a setting is preference is that so that it depends on the project needs or the settings, the situation or the project or the program the provider is working for. If it requires like real time synchronization, I think it would allow them to do it. If the provider is more conservative and don't feel comfortable in submitting the complete forms in real time, and they can just turn off this option.
Yeah, I just wanted to just say this these things that I'm thinking. So again, I understand that you probably want to maximize the usage of the internet and make the device as intelligent as possible and figure out that internet is available, so I can get all of these things out of the way without the user manually interacting with the app. I would suggest that probably if you want to download form data, or if you want to do something which is not really a submission of patient data, I think that would be this particular scenario would be useful under those conditions. But submitting a form is, I would say, is like a done deal, and there's no going back from there. And I somehow see a little bit of a situation where someone didn't want to didn't want to submit that form, but it got submitted and he has no way of bringing that form back, versus actually clicking on the sync. The user is acutely aware that he is submitting a form, and he knows that he submitted a form, because a lot of times if you're doing this without the user's interaction, then the user doesn't know it's happened, right? So when the user actually is hitting the submit form, he's aware, I am submitting this form, and he remembers, versus letting the device figure out that I have queued up data, I have internet connection, so I'm just going to go ahead and submit it. it's a good to have, but I think for a submission of a form, I would say it's not such a good thing to do, in my opinion. But maybe I'm wrong, so just want to think about that, I would say.
That's a good point, Frida. I, you know, actually, they provide. I think one more thing is that we need in the future is that how the provider can make changes on the encounter level data, the observation data that they can make changes on the device and then submit back to the server. This is something that's so they can make changes actually. Right now, what the workflow is that all those changes are made from the server side. So it requires like one extra level of work to request someone from the data team to make changes of existing encounter or observation data from the server. Those are the tickets that I have prepared for discussing, as new tickets today. Is there other tickets or topics that anyone would like to discuss since we have about 10 more minutes?
Just want to just let Win, I've actually issued a pull request for mUzima 60 today. But for some reason, I got an email saying that I stopped. I said stop. I assigned the ticket status as stop progress, which is incorrect. I'm not sure if you got that. Did you get the email with the pull request?
Yeah, I saw the pull request. I merged some of it.
Okay. Yeah, just wanted to just check because I wasn't sure what the I wasn't sure whether what the closing point was for that. Thanks. That's all I had.
Cool.
Hey, Manuel and Nelson, how about you guys?
No, I don't have.
Can you say one more time?
Hello, I think we are fine.
Okay. Win, do you have any?
Nothing from me.
Okay. I think there's some tickets that that we would like someone to help to apply the standard form templates, validations, and structure to some of the existing forms. Win, do you want to talk about those now, or?
Yeah, I think there's a few tickets that still missing some validation, or the validation was implemented differently. So I think a couple of days ago, I created a standard approach on how we can display validation for multi-selection. So in a multi-selection form, you can have when a selection is made, you cannot pick other option. So that type of validation exists, and for that type multi-selection, we also have a validation where you must pick a selection, basically. You can use the VIA and breast cancer as as a guideline, and then have a look at the validation for multi, what is it called? Checkbox. So in VIA and breast cancer, for example, if you pick a none or normal as option, so you should not pick other option in addition to that. So it will display the message right away when you check the other option. I think a few forms that I think you can use. Yeah, this is the validation. So you can, if you leave the selection and you press submit, you will get. You can remove the selection, Ada, and then press submit, and it will display. You must pick an option. Remove all the selection and then press submit. Yeah. So if you look at the JavaScript code on the screen that shared by Ada, what you need to do is the line 17 from line 13 to line 19, and that one will do the validation for a single selection. So if you, in this use case, for reason for referral, if you pick a value, if you pick none, then that is the only one that you can pick. So you'll get message if none is selected. That is the message if you pick something in addition to none. And then on the next line from 21 to line 30, that one will be executed if you don't pick anything and then you press submit. That is the default. The message is only one, so it is inside the JavaScript code. This type of validation, we don't have it in some of our forms yet, but you can just follow this same example, and it should be applied to dysplasia, pap smear, and I forgot the other one, histopathology, I think. Everything is in the wiki, so all this example is documented in the wiki.
This would be a good way just to get familiar with the mUzima form. Yeah.
Yeah, this is so all the example of how you can develop the form is in the wiki. So if you need to create a new form, you can just copy and paste the elements from the wiki, and then I think change the question, the name, or the data concept as needed. Can you open the wiki, Ada? Yeah, if you look at that one, the form development on the right side, those are the documentation for on how you can create the form.
Okay. I think we can wrap up today's call then.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
everyone.
Bye-bye.